Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Linda's Who Plants For You. I'm excited to be able to do this video for you today. As some of you know, I've been under the weather here, and it's been a while since I've been able to do any videos, and I've had a few requests from my viewers that come on a regular basis. And one of them was for my purple passion plant. I am going to try to do updates for you today, and I'm not sure if it's going to all be in one video or if I'm going to make separate videos, and I won't know until that's done. So if you want to see, I want to do the string of pearls. I've had several requests for that, and I want to talk a little bit about the care of that plant and also about this one. So we'll see how this goes, and like I said, if I only get through this one, then come back, tune in again, and I might end up doing 2 videos in one day. We'll just have to wait and see how this goes. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank those of you who have reached out to me and expressed how my videos have helped you, and that makes me feel really, really good, and it kind of encourages me on days when I'm really under the weather and not able to do anything. Some days I get down about it, but for the most part, it's an encouragement because I know that people are watching and that I'm helping others. So I am going to continue to bring you videos for as long as I'm able, and hopefully that'll be a good long time. So today I want to talk about my purple velvet plant, and what do I want to say about it other than it's beautiful? Now you can see it's kind of a little bit limp, and that's because it needs water, and I'm going to do that when I put it back where it belongs. But I want you to know that this plant started out with a very small piece, like a 4-inch little plant, a little piece about this big, and this all grew from that little piece. And I've had this now for, it's probably about 6 months, 5-6 months. I have taken many cuttings from this and given them to my granddaughter and daughter, and I think I sent some to Pammy from Pammy's Planty Things, but I don't think it made it through the mailing. But this is a very hardy plant. It's very difficult for me to kill. I know people have problems with it, and I'm not real sure why, because it really isn't easy to grow plant. What I can tell you is, for me, is I keep it in a east window. It really, really likes the east light, and I only water it when it's dry. Now right now I can put my finger almost, actually all the way down to the bottom, and get very, very little soil residue on my fingers. So it really needs to dry out to the point where you're seeing a little limp, and they get overwatered very easy. And this one is so healthy, it's actually produced a flower, although they're not very pretty, and they're not, I actually just take them off when they come. I don't care for them, but to each his own on that, I guess. So but that's a good sign that it's happy. And the soil mixture that I have it in is just an all-purpose potting mix, and then I add, of course, my perlite and my worm castings. I don't believe, no, I do not have orchid bark in here, nor do I have the charcoal. So it's just perlite and potting soil and worm casting. And again, I water it when it's pretty much dry. And I don't soak it. I mean, I make sure all the roots are getting some water. like I said, this plant can be overwatered very easily. One of the things that will happen with this plant is if it's not getting enough light, it'll get real leggy. You'll have a lot of room in between the leaves, and this is actually more room than I even like to see. But that's because, you know, not every day is sunny here in Wisconsin, especially this time of year. And it's also a little cooler in the room that I have this in. But this right here, hopefully you can see this. Let me see what you're looking at. This piece right here, if you can see how close these leaves are together, this is how I like it to look around the whole plant. So what I do is when they get long like this, and I let this get away from me for the purposes of this video, what I will be doing is taking and cutting back. And I'm not going to start down here because I noticed if I try to take too much off, it really struggles to get roots. So I let this go a little too long, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this piece, and I always take it right above the node, right where the leaves are coming out, right above there. I will take this leaf off, and then I will put it into soil up to there. And all I do is cut it, and then I make a hole in the soil. I stick it down in there, and then I squeeze the soil around it gently. And that's where all this came from. It all started out, like I said, with one little piece that was maybe about 4 or 5 inches tall. And this plant is not that old. So that's really it for this one. I'm going to cut this off because I don't like how it looks. You can see this is an older leaf, and it got a little bit of damage here. I don't know if that was cold damage or just underwatering, but we're going to just take that off. So that's really all there is to this plant. I know a lot of people like to have it hanging, and you can certainly do that. They make beautiful hanging plants. The thing that you have to remember when you put it in a hanging pot, though, is you need to keep cutting back and sticking them back in the soil, because these will get long, they'll hang down, they'll get leggy, and then the top of your pot is going to get bare, and eventually your plant isn't going to look like you want it to. So that's the key. If you have any questions or comments regarding this plant or something that you do differently that works for you, I certainly do welcome that. Like I said before, there's usually more than one good way to do something, and I do not get offended if people want to add to what I already have. But that's how I do it, and it works for me. So I hope that this has helped somebody, and that you'll be able to grow this plant yourself. And you can see all the new growth down in here. And again, like I said, you just cut it off right above the leaf, and it will sprout new leaves there. And then take this leaf off, because you really only want to have 2 or 3 leaves at the top of the one that you're starting, that you're putting back in the soil. Let me just go grab a scissors and show you what I mean. Okay. So for this one, where do I want this to branch out along here? That's what I have to determine. And I think I'm gonna do it right here. So as you can see, hopefully you can see, right here, I'm gonna cut right above this leaf, and then I'm gonna cut these leaves off. Don't be afraid to do this. I know for some of us it's hard. We don't want to get rid of perfectly good leaves, but you know what? Your plant will be a lot happier in the long run. And what I found is what will happen then is that we'll get roots from here, and sometimes from the bottom. Now I'm just going to take and make a little hole with my scissors, because I don't use fancy tools here. And I'm going to stick it down in there. And I apologize that you can't see that, but and then just kind of gently push the soil around it. And then I'm going to do that to the rest of these, and then I'm going to give it a good watering, not too awful much. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to cut this here. I don't know if you can see that. Nope, I don't think you can. Well, let's see. How do I get you to see this? Unwind it. There. Okay. That's better. I'm going to cut right here. And you can see there's already new leaves starting to form there. And more will shoot out. And when those shoot out, then I'm going to go down even further here because, like I said, I let this get too long. Now for this, people are tempted to just put this in the soil. I find it doesn't work as well if you do that because it's trying so hard to keep these alive that oftentimes I lose the cutting. So I don't do that anymore. I just go ahead and I sacrifice these leaves, and it doesn't look like much, but I'm going to put this down now into the soil up to about here, and it's gonna grow really well. So I'm going to do that on this side, and actually this vessel that I have this plant in is getting pretty full. So we're going to have to start a new plant, I think, pretty soon. All right. Okay, so you're getting the idea anyway, right? Maybe we'll do one more. This long one here, okay? Now, like I said, a lot of people will be tempted to cut way back here, and I'm not saying you can't do that, and I'm not saying it won't work. But I have found that it works much better if I do the shorter pieces. If I cut back here, it works so hard to get that energy back up into this stem that sometimes I lose it, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to cut right here, and I'm going to cut this off again right there, and I'm going to cut this one too, and this one. Now you can see there's only a couple left on there, and it doesn't look like much, but just have to trust me on this. It's going to grow back beautifully. That's how I got this whole plant, from one little tiny stem. And like I said, it really, really, really likes the east light, the east window. That's where I've had the best luck. Now I do have I have one started for a friend of mine that I have in my south window. And it's doing very well too, so we're going to leave that one there. But over the years, every time I get one of these plants, it seems to like the east light the best. Okay, now we still have this long stem, and you're probably wondering, what are we going to do with that? Well, right now I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to let it just rest and give it some water, and then maybe in a week or two I'll come back and I'll continue to cut until I get this down to here, so it's more manageable, because I want it to get very full and bushy rather than climbing up. And after that, I'm not sure what we're going to do with it, but for right now, that's the plan. So I hope I've helped somebody, and oh, and feeding, I don't feed her very often. In fact, I think I only fed her twice during the summer months. And I have found that when I feed her, she gets the browning on the leaves, and I don't know why that is, because I use about a quarter strength. But you know, I've always used Peter's, and it is a synthetic food, but it's something I've used my whole life and never had problems with it. It's now, I think, called Jack's. I believe the son took that over, and I'm not sure if it's not made the same way or what, but I am definitely looking into getting a more organic type fertilizer. I know Susie from Suzette's Gardens uses fish food, and I know quite a few other people do as well, so I think I'm probably going to go that route and see what happens. But like I said, feeding, I really haven't had to feed her, and she's still got beautiful color and strong limbs, so she really doesn't need a lot. And that's it. Let her dry out before watering. Keep her in an east window, and she should do good for you. Alright. Okay, and I do have a repotting video that I'd like to make for you guys, and I'm going to try and do that here shortly. And we'll see how that goes. If it's too long, I'm going to make these into 2 videos. If it's not, then we'll just leave them. I'll connect them when I download them to YouTube. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, I always welcome that. If you like my video and you want to give me a thumbs up, that would be great. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you want to see more of these videos, then that would be wonderful too. So, alright. Okay, we're going to do updates here shortly. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.